Nice.
Thank you. Ready?
Ready.
Hello, everyone. Today we are doing lesson 135. If I defend myself, I am attacked. With the correlating chapter text, chapter 13, The Guiltless World, section 1, Guiltlessness and Invulnerability. Let us begin. Alex?
Chapter 13, The Guiltless World. Section 1, Guiltlessness and Invulnerability. Paragraph 1. Earlier I said that the Holy Spirit shares the goal of all good teachers, whose ultimate aim is to make themselves unnecessary by teaching their pupils all they know. The Holy Spirit wants only this. For sharing the Father's love for his Son, he seeks to remove all guilt from his mind, that he may remember his Father in peace. Peace and guilt are, what's that word?
Antithetical.
Antithetical, and the Father can be remembered only in peace. Love and guilt cannot coexist, and to accept one is to deny the other. Guilt hides Christ from your sight, for it is the denial of the blamelessness of God's Son.
Yes. I've shared with you all before how my goal here is to get you to a place where you no longer need me, where you begin looking within your own self for the answers, where you stop seeking out there in the world to me or to any of your other brothers for any of the answers. That is my goal as a teacher, as his teacher of teachers, to be the example of what it is he would have us do, how he would have us be. When you are interacting with your brothers out there in the world, really sit back for a moment and look, truly look at what it is that is happening in front of you. Even when it's online interactions, look at how your brothers are talking to you and with you, and the ones that say they are teachers and gurus and swamis and rabbis and priests and reverends and ministers and all these other freaking titles that they've given themselves. As you are interacting with these folks and you are listening to the things they are saying and doing, recognize the carrot on a stick that they hold out to you. Join my class, buy my book, buy my this, and I will help you. Always a carrot on a stick, so you keep coming back to them for the answers. This is what we are trying to break you of. This is why it is critical for you to start looking within at everything you've been picking and choosing to believe in, at all those experiences and how you have chosen to judge them. This is why this is so critical, folks. You must be willing to do this, and only you can do this. Recognize the truth as it is right there in front of you. See how the ego mind is at play and working around you. Watch how your brothers interact with each other. Watch how, as they are sitting here saying they're giving you some kind of information that doesn't help, because they are saying a bunch of words that have no meaning, they're holding out their hand saying, but if you pay me, I can help you more. I can give you more information. There was an analogy that's standing out to me right now that I saw through an interview where a gentleman was talking to a congressman saying, you know, this whole thing with insurances and everything else, it's like someone telling you that, sorry, I don't care if you're drowning, you got to pay me first if you want me to save you. It's the same thing with the medical industry. They are now telling you that you have to pay them first before they are willing to help you. It never used to be like that. Doctors take a Hippocratic oath to help anyone and everyone, no matter what. It's like they are supposed to be selfless in it. Simply do whatever's needed in the moment to help a person survive and live in that moment. To keep that heartbeat going and the breaths coming in. Yeah, there are other aspects that go into things. But what was coming into my mind in those moments was a doctor responding to the scene of an accident because he happened to be driving into work. And someone wanting to turn around and try and sue that doctor because of it. There used to be a day and a time where it didn't matter if you had the money to pay right then. And hospitals were really willing to work with people, understanding that when something came up, they had to figure out how to pay for it. And it wasn't outrageous like it is now. It was actually affordable. It's those kinds of things that we are here to look at, to recognize how we are being strung along, controlled, and manipulated. And we've been doing it all willingly, handing away our free will, willingly. This is trying to show us what it is we're here to do. You know, the Holy Spirit is trying to get us to open our eyes to the truth. Every time He lays it in front of us, we are the ones judging it in those moments. Every single time. Every time we're in denial that we're being heard or helped by God. Every time that we say that God has abandoned us, we are judging. You know, I've been sharing how He's been removing guilt, fear, shame, all of those things when He has me open my eyes and look at the truth of what I was choosing to judge in those moments, to believe in those moments, to accept in those moments from those around me. And those are all the things that he removes. And as he removes them, I gain inner peace. I gain healing from the pain, suffering, and trauma that I had believed myself to have gone through. And as I let go those feelings of shame, fear, and guilt, I started feeling love for myself. Because as I held those thoughts and beliefs, I had no love for myself. I hated myself and everything about me. Because in my eyes, everything everyone was saying was true. I was unworthy of love, unworthy of kindness, tenderness, gentleness, affection. I was only here to be used and abused. And I believed it. And so I received it. Please continue, dear.
2. In the strange world that you have made, the Son of God has sinned. How could you see him then? By making him invisible. The world of retribution rose in the black cloud of guilt that you accepted, and you hold it dear. For the blamelessness of Christ is the proof that the ego never was and can never be. Without guilt, the ego has no life, and God's Son is without guilt.
Yeah. It's true. In this world that we perceive, everyone is a sinner, everyone is guilty, everyone is trying to harm and kill us. That's what we've been taught to think and believe. Then we've also been taught to think and believe all of the derogatory, negative things there are to think about ourselves. We're fat, we're ugly, we're unacceptable, we're not good enough, we'll never be good enough, we're mediocre, we're too stupid to learn. All these things we accept, unconsciously and consciously. We hear it enough times, we begin to believe it. All of those judgments and opinions that you've taken in, folks, it's like we've talked about this before, how it's like that overhead projector when you're looking at that picture of the human body, and then that picture is transformed into a picture of who you truly are. And as you are looking at that screen above you on the projector, and you're looking at that picture of you, you start layering one judgment after another, after another, after another over top of yourself. And suddenly that picture of you becomes so distorted, you can't see yourself anymore. As it says there, you become invisible. It's as if the Son of God has receded within himself to where he is no longer seen. He is hidden. Think about that, folks. When you are sitting there and you are being yelled at, talked down to, whatever it is, you feel yourself curling within yourself, shutting down mentally, emotionally, everything to keep from responding, blocking out the noise of them going, want, 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 want. And in that same way, you, the you truly are, has done the same thing on a much deeper level. You have curled within yourself and hidden yourself away just so you can try and be everything everyone else has told you that you need to be. You keep choosing to be what everyone else wants you to be instead of being what it is you would like to be. This is what this is speaking of here. It's like the longer you hold on to these beliefs and these judgments as being true and defining you in the world, the longer you will stay in the hell you have created for yourself. Please continue.
3. As you look upon yourself and judge what you do honestly, you may be tempted to wonder how you can be guiltless. Yet consider this: you are not guiltless in time, but in eternity. You have, quote, sinned in the past, but there is no past. Always has no direction. Time seems to go in one direction, but when you reach its end, it will roll up like a long carpet, spread along the past behind you, and will disappear. As long as you believe the Son of God is guilty, you will walk along this carpet, believing that it leads to death, and the journey will seem long and cruel and senseless, for so it is.
Absolutely. So think about that. I mean, imagine yourself going down a very, very long corridor. And every step forward you take, without looking back, letting go of everything that you've ever experienced and gone through, holding nothing from any of it, all that stuff disappears as if it never was. That's what it's speaking of. I've spoken of this before, folks, of how when I looked at the things I was choosing to think and believe, how when I was shown the truth that all of them were lies and I let them go and I no longer held on to them, I could no longer understand how I could have ever believed it in the first place, but they just disappeared as if they never were. It now takes me a long time to really think about all the things that I was choosing to think and believe that were not connected to extreme circumstantial experiences, like the rapes, the molestations, the beatings, the mental and emotional abuses that went with them. Those were the things that became my core foundational belief systems. Those traumas, those trials and tribulations became my core foundational systems. And those core foundational systems are what I've been looking at and letting go of to see who I truly am. And that's what a lot of this stuff breaks down to, folks, is you being willing to look at the things that you have experienced that have gotten you to where you are today, to thinking and believing you are who you are. And once you let go all those things you thought and believed, they disappear. You recognize them for the garbage they are and you let them go. Please continue.
4. The journey the Son of God has set himself is useless indeed, but the journey on which his Father sets him is one of release and joy. The Father is not cruel, and his Son cannot hurt himself. The retaliation that he fears and that he sees will never touch him. For although he believes in it, the Holy Spirit knows it is not true. The Holy Spirit stands at the end of time, where you must be, because he is with you. He has already undone everything unworthy of the Son of God, for such was his mission, given him by God, and what God gives has always been.
Yes. You know, folks, what it's speaking of here is the egoic journey that you have chosen to think and believe in is senseless indeed. It has you constantly spinning your wheels, trying to get somewhere, yet going nowhere. Always trying to climb some kind of corporate ladder, and yet always finding yourself trying to find another ladder to climb because that one you were on crumbled, or you got pushed off of it. The journey Father has given us is not senseless. It is not cruel. Everything that we are here to do is to understand who we are within us, who we truly are. The whole point, I'm sorry, it's like they want to come in, but they're not coming in fully. So I get this off-centered feeling where everything kind of spins a little. It's like, come on, step in or step out. One of the two. I can't do this with you spinning me. Okay. The whole purpose of us coming here into this reality, this manifestation, as we've spoken before, is to understand how to go through a process of forgetting who you are and then remembering it again. When we came in knowing fully who we were. And as we interacted with the other beings around us, who we called our parents, our caregivers, we would try to take in energetically as we knew how to take things in. And yet we were being told, no, that's not how it's done here. We had to change the way we perceived. and thought things to be. And as we accepted the things that they were saying things were, and we accepted their judgments and opinions of everything around us and ourselves, we began to forget who we are and how we are connected with each other and everything else around us. How we are the ones in the driver's seat. We are the ones that are choosing what we will experience in each moment. What I mean by this is each experience, we get a choice on how we will perceive it, how it is we will look at it and judge it to be. Will this be something that is of benefit or not of benefit? Many of these things that we are experiencing are just simply for that, the experience. It is not always because there is a lesson within it. Sometimes it is just for the joy in the moment, such as going to the beach and digging your toes into the sand. Nothing more than just enjoying the experience of it. The simple pleasures. What this was referring to was how your training, how you have been taught to think, believe, and perceive, has taught you to believe that in every moment you are being retaliated against, or you must be retaliating. That you must judge or be judged. Do you understand what I mean by this? Do you?
Yes, we were taught to judge from the day we were born.
Exactly. It is these judgments that we accept as being true in defining us that limits our ability to see the truth. It puts up a blanket in front of our eyes. It puts mufflers on our ears. It puts a shield before us in constant defense. Do you understand what I mean?
To judge is to attack, and to attack is to have to defend. And so as soon as we start judging, we have to start defending.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please continue.
5. You will see me as you learn the Son of God is guiltless. He has always sought his guiltlessness, and he has found it. For everyone is seeking to escape from the prison he has made, and the way to find release is not denied him. Being in him, he has found it. When he finds it is only a matter of time, and time is but an illusion. For the Son of God is guiltless now, and the brightness of his purity shines untouched forever in God's mind. God's Son will always be as he was created. Deny your world and judge him not, for his eternal guiltlessness is in the mind of his Father and protects him forever. when you have accepted.
I gotta take that in.
Go ahead.
My head's still kind of... I have a tingly sensation all through my body right now. Like electrical.
That was kind of neat. It was why I was having trouble reading that last paragraph, because I was just kind of blown away by the energy that I felt with that.
Yeah. It's like I could feel them sliding in, but not quite sliding in. It's like I hear them talking in my ears. And I'm like, okay, step in or step out, but you can't do both. We're not doing the hokey pokey here,
right,
folks.
I was thinking hokey pokey.
Someday I'm going to figure out.
I'd like to have names.
Yeah, I'd like to have, that's what I was about to say.
Right.
I'd like to find out their names, and I don't know how to figure that out. Even asking, I'm not sure if I can get the names.
Well, doesn't hurt to try.
True. All right, give me a moment here. Okay, I think I get what it's talking about here. It just took me a second. So, what it's saying there in the beginning is that it's recognizing how you are not guilty, you are not sinful, that you are sinless. You are a holy Son of God. It's coming back to that understanding that everything that we're experiencing, everything that we go through, is for our benefit. It's all orchestrated perfectly for us. All of it. Without exception. And as soon as you can let go of your belief in being a sinner and being guilty of stuff, as soon as you can let go those beliefs, peace will come. You'll understand fully how it was you were controlled and manipulated to believe those things when you choose to truly look at them and ask. Folks, as Alex keeps saying, I sound like a broken fucking record. Because I keep repeating myself, sharing experience after experience after experience after experience. I lay before you what was laid before me. I share the truth as it has been shown to me. Period. No fluff, no toning down. It is what it is. Honestly, folks, every one of my experiences were physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual in nature. The ones that have stuck with me. All of them were tied to my core being, my spiritual being. Because these were things that hurt my spiritual being. You know how they talk about karma and karmic lessons? These are the things that place that kind of karmic lesson in place for us to understand. It's a trial and tribulation we are to overcome. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Trials and tribulations to overcome.
And it's every time every time you deny that you've experienced this or you've experienced that, or you continue judging it in the ways that you are, when you deny whatever's being put in front of you, coming up within you, you are denying God in those moments and the healing He is offering you. Think about that. When that stuff is being brought up for you to look at in those moments, it's for healing. It is not to be denied. It's not to be buried and shunned. Every time you deny your brother or deny yourself, you deny God. You are the one turning away. You know, I keep saying how this is heaven, folks. This is the Garden of Eden. We are in it. And it's not that God kicked Adam and Eve out of the garden. It was that Adam and Eve kicked God out of the garden, judging Him to be other than He was. And in so doing, they judged themselves in the world around them, changing it from heaven to hell. Think about that. It's a deep thought right there. That it wasn't God kicking Adam and Eve out of the garden, but it was Adam and Eve kicking God out of the garden. They judged. All right, please continue.
When you have accepted the atonement for yourself, you will realize there is no guilt in God's Son. And only as you look upon Him as guiltless can you understand His oneness. For the idea of guilt brings a belief in condemnation of one by another, projecting separation in place of unity. You can condemn only yourself, and by so doing you cannot know that you are God's Son. You have denied the condition of His being, which is His perfect blamelessness. Out of love He was created, and in love He abides. Goodness and mercy have always followed Him, for He has always extended the love of His Father.
Yes. When you accept the truth of what it is that you have been choosing to do, that responsibility for those choices that you have made, the things you've accepted, when you accept that responsibility for those choices and decisions, you are then given the option and the opportunity to choose again and choose differently. To choose the truth over the lie you had been taught. And folks, in that moment is when you become at one with yourself. That at one-ment, being at one in the moment. It's recognizing the lies you have been fed to control and manipulate you to another's will. It's recognizing how you unknowingly did all of these things, and now you have bought into this belief that you cannot change your mind, that you are not able to choose again, that if you break from the flow of the others around you, that you will find yourself ostracized and shoved out into some never land. This simply isn't true. An interesting thing tends to happen. Just like when you were a child and in high school, you had cliques of people of like minds, temperaments, belief systems, things of that nature. Correct?
Yes, there were cliques, but I kind of hung out with all of them.
So, did the one here.
Yes.
What I speak of is when one chooses the path for themselves, they will find themselves pulled to those of like mind, like heart, like frequency, resonance, vibration. They will seek like souls, soul families, star families, soul groups, things of that nature. We begin to reach out to those of like mind. And as we do so, they also will find themselves pulled to us. And those they are connected to are pulled tighter to them, and so forth and so on, until there is a huge, gigantic net of everyone being interconnected. Just like that poem the one wrote.
I don't know all of her poetry.
Threads. Talking about how each of us are a thread in a fabric interwoven one with the other. We each have our family ties that we are interwoven with, woven together in that fabric. And as one of those fibers breaks, because they have left their shell, their body, others step into their place to bring together the two that broke, to connect them once again. So there's flow. Reconnecting all the others that had been misplaced. Showing how everyone is still interconnected. That fabric Sabrina has used the puzzle pieces, as in virtual picture for your mind, of how each piece represents a being. And within each being are their subsequent family members that came before them, and any others that are attached to them, such as children. All these beings are part of their single puzzle piece. And yet those people are also puzzle pieces unto themselves, with their own ties. Just like that fabric is being interwoven, like thread, each being is needed. If one was to zoom out and above to see how that fabric truly looks, they would see the face of God as she had depicted. She is asking for a name.
Yes. What is your name, please?
I can't even say it. Yeah, I can't say it.
It's one way to lose the connection.
I was focusing so hard on it, it was like, whoop.
Yep.
It's like A-R-J-E. Ithis, Aurelithis, it's like I'm seeing A-R-E-L-I-I-T-H.
A-R. No way, I can't put this up on the screen. A-R.
E-L-I-T-H.
T-H.
U. E-I-U-S? Aurelithius? E-I-U-S?
Okay.
I have no clue if that's correct or not. But that's what I keep seeing. Aurelithius.
Aurelithius. Okay.
I don't know if that's right or not. Feels right. I don't feel any with it.
Well, I would love to have a dialogue with Aurelithius.
Artie.
If that's possible. Ari. You know, I noticed that...
A-R-E, a reflective experience. It's a reflection of my experience. Like one of my higher...
Like higher self.
Yeah. Aurelithius.
Well, that answers one of the questions. Or probably about 10 of them, actually.
Yeah. This is going to be an interesting one, babe.
If we get through it.
Yeah, where are we?
At 52 minutes and on
Paragraph 7. Did we finish the other one?
Yes.
Okay. Please continue.
7. As you perceive the holy companions who travel with you, you will realize that there is no journey, but only an awakening. The Son of God, who sleepeth not, has kept faith with his Father for you. There is no road to travel on, and no time to travel through, for God waits not for his Son in time, being forever unwilling to be without him. And so it has always been. Let the holiness of God's Son shine away the cloud of guilt that darkens your mind, and by accepting his purity as yours, learn of him that it is yours.
Yeah, it's as I was saying just a few moments ago, and as Ari was saying just a moment ago. As you go along your journey, you connect with like minds, and you recognize those who are traveling with you, that are speaking the truth, that resonates. Please continue.
8. You are invulnerable because you are guiltless. You can hold on to the past only through guilt, for guilt establishes that you will be punished for what you have done, and thus depends on one-dimensional time proceeding from past to future. No one who believes this can understand what, quote, always means, and therefore guilt must deprive you of the appreciation of eternity. You are immortal because you are eternal, and, quote, always must be now. Guilt, then, is a way of holding past and future in your mind to ensure the ego's continuity. For if what has been will be punished, the ego's continuity is guaranteed. Yet the guarantee of your continuity is God's, not the ego's, and immortality is the opposite of time, for time passes away, while immortality is constant. And that brings up something for me. It brings up how just kind of a wonderment how we can be in an experience like this where the only thing that we have in our conscious memory and awareness of only when we are in a body. Yet if we are eternal, we must have spent a nearly endless amount of time not being in a body.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's such irony in this existence. And the irony is that we get to leave it every single night when we go to sleep, but we're not aware of it when we wake back up in the morning.
There's a misnomer there, or a misperception there. We still have a body.
Yeah, I have fingernails and hair that get clipped away too.
That's not what I'm speaking of.
Oh, you're saying we have like a light body.
A light body, yes. A spiritual light body.
I guess that makes sense.
That it is encapsulated within this physical body. And it's when we are able to do things like astral projection or fall asleep and leave the body to do that astral projection again, that we can disconnect from the physical that's here and go to another. It's also how we do the trans-dimensional shifting as well, from one body to the next, to the next, to the next. We've stated how everything's being done in the same instant. There is no past, there is no future, because everything's happening right here, right now. And in that same way, where I am having billions of lives in different corporeal forms, whether it be plant, animal, a human physical form such as this, or a being from another planet in another type of form, or a planet in and of itself. I've spoken of all of this before, folks. It matters not. All of these dimensions are happening simultaneously in the now. And when we are sleeping, dreaming, we are shifting to these alternate dimensions, alternate realities. And we are not doing it with one body. We are doing it with multiple bodies at the same instant, splitting ourselves into multiple bodies so that we can go into these other places to see what's going on, see where we are at in those journeys, to try to bring those other ones to the place where we're at in this one, or glean some understanding if they are further along in the journey than we are. This is how our roles in each of these different lives and incarnations help each other and help us in the here and now. These are the things that are not being taken in fully. These are the things that are buried below the surface, that many do not connect themselves to. This is what we have been taught to stop looking for and looking at. The truth of who we are and who our brothers are. We've been constantly bombarded with lies. And it was found that it was children that took them in and held them and propagated them the longest, the fastest, and the easiest. And if you could get them young and train them right, you have the perfect. I'll leave that open for you to decide. What word comes to your mind?
Sorry, I was looking up a word, trying to look up a word with in the dictionary that's in the next sentence we're going to read. So the word is expiation.
Okay.
Sorry if that threw you off, but that's what I was focusing on.
Okay.
What were you talking about?
I completely forgot now.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. As all of these things come together, you will recognize forgive me. As you begin to look within you at these things that you were taught to think and believe, and recognize them for the lies they were, and let them go, you recognize what your brothers out there are doing, and you share. And as I was saying, with the whole fabric, that as you see how everyone is interconnected, it creates a grid around the planet that is the life-giving force and energy of all that is. And it's that interconnection through the heart with love, the mind with compassion and understanding, that allows us to integrate with one another and to see we are equals in every way. That as we choose to think and believe, we manifest and create. And what was not true falls away as if it never was. Like that carpet it was speaking of, it rolls up behind you. disappearing. Please continue.
9. Accepting the atonement teaches you what immortality is, for by accepting your guiltlessness, you learn that the past has never been, and so the future is needless and will not be. The future in time is always associated with expiation, and I actually did Google that. Expiation. Let's see if we'll...
Expiation.
Yeah, I was saying it right. The act of making amends or reparation for guilt or wrongdoing or atonement. An act of public expiation is their sample word they're showing here.
To make somebody wrong or guilty?
So I'll read the sentence again. The future in time is always associated with expiation, and only guilt could induce a sense of need for expiation.
And the definition one more time?
The act of making amends or reparation for guilt or wrongdoing. And then they have a semicolon atonement.
Oh, okay. I'm being shown like...
And that's the world's definition of atonement, not A Course in Miracles' definition of atonement.
Yeah, but for the expiation, right?
To make amends to your wrongdoings, to admit your guilt.
Your guilt. So let's say you have to go into a court of law and a judge says, yeah, you know what? You're the guilty party here. You have to pay them money now.
Right. That's
and
expiation.
That is what it's speaking of. And even though you don't feel you've done anything wrong, somebody's still telling you you're wrong.
No, I think expiation is the feeling that you're wrong. The act of making amends or reparation for guilt or wrongdoing. So it can be any of those three.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it can be the act of doing it, the act of making up for belief wrongdoing, or just feeling the guilt or wrongdoing. That itself is expiation.
Yeah, but there's another part to this, and that's where you're accepting somebody else's judgment of you.
Where you believe that something has gone wrong and someone's at fault.
Yeah. It's like, I'm still getting, it's you're accepting another's judgments of you as being true. That their judgment of you as doing something wrong or bad is true. And so you accept it, and so incur a sense of guilt, shame, fear, pain, suffering.
Right.
It is accepting another's judgments that causes this. And so that expiation it's speaking of would be that accepting of somebody else's judgment. Because that's what induces that sense of guilt and that belief that you have to make amends. That you've done something wrong. I'm going to go ahead and finish reading that paragraph if you're okay with that.
Sure.
So, continuing on there, I'm going to go back up to the beginning of that sentence. The future in time is always associated with expiation, and only guilt could induce a sense of a need for expiation. Accepting the guiltlessness of the Son of God as yours is therefore God's way of reminding you of his Son and what he is in truth. For God has never condemned his Son, and being guiltless, he is eternal. It's recognizing that you have accepted a judgment that does not belong to you because it's not true. And recognizing that you're not bad, you're not wrong, you're not shameful, any of those things. Those are all judgments. And none of them are true. A judgment is a lie, folks. Now, I'm being told to clarify something right now. In many ways, even our justice systems are built on this kind of belief here, that somebody else has a right to tell you if you're good, bad, right, or wrong, and punish you for it. When you are taking from another, harming another, you are taking another's free will from them. In those moments, you are going against the laws of God. And in those moments, you are subject to the laws of God. And in many ways, there are repercussions that come with those types of things, karmic repercussions. What you do to your brother, you do to yourself. So even though you have stolen from your brother, you will then find people stealing from you. The more you try to extort from your brother, people will extort from you. Hurt another, someone hurts you. All karmic. These are learned triggering points that connect emotion to thought to physical reaction. These things are they're not making sense. It's like they got pulled out or something.
Why?
No idea. I got like cotton wool feeling in my ear right now. Like they had shifted out partially or something, and they are having trouble coming back in. What were they saying?
My mind was going on its own little place.
Okay.
Thinking about Chiron with your channeling. Thinking about how I get the impression his videos are so much more popular than ours.
Well, he's been around a lot longer than us, too.
True.
I mean, this is, first year, second year of us trying to do a video thing.
Yeah, and I guess really the first official channeling video, considering this first time we have a name.
My ear is feeling like I got cotton wool in it all of a sudden. It's like, come on.
Well, tell me when they're ready to continue. In the meantime, I'm going to continue
Go ahead
reading.
and continue, please.
Paragraph 10. You cannot dispel guilt by making it real and then atoning for it. This is the ego's plan, which it offers instead of dispelling it. The ego believes in atonement through attack, being fully committed to the insane notion that attack is salvation. And you who cherish guilt must also believe it. How else but by identifying with the ego could you hold dear what you do not want?
Continue.
The ego teaches you to attack yourself because you are guilty, and this must increase the guilt. For guilt is the result of attack. In the ego's teaching, then, there is no escape from guilt, for attack makes guilt real. And if it is real, there is no way to overcome it. The Holy Spirit dispels it simply through the calm recognition that it has never been. As he looks upon the guiltless Son of God, he knows that this is true, and being true for you, you cannot attack yourself, for without guilt, attack is impossible. You, then, are saved because God's Son is guiltless, and being wholly pure, you are invulnerable.
Yeah.
So to be saved is really just takes a change of mind,
Yes.
a shift in perception.
Yes. Exactly. A change in how you are perceiving yourself,
And your brothers.
your brothers, and the world around you.
Yes.
This is why I keep saying that the world is very real. It is how you are taught to perceive it that is not. All right, folks, that was chapter 13, The Guiltless World. Section 1, guiltlessness and invulnerability. Let's move on to the lesson of the day. Alex?
Workbook Lesson 135. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Who would defend himself unless he thought he were attacked, that the attack were real, and that his own defense could save himself? And herein lies the folly of defense. It gives illusions full reality, and then attempts to handle them as real. It adds illusions to illusions, thus making correction doubly difficult. And it is this you do when you attempt to plan the future, activate the past, or organize the present as you wish. You operate from the belief you must protect yourself from what is happening, because it must contain what threatens you. A sense of threat is an acknowledgement of an inherent weakness, a belief that there is danger which has power to call on you to make appropriate defense. The world is based on this insane belief, and all of its structures, all its thoughts and doubts, its penalties and heavy armaments, its legal definitions and its codes, its ethics and its leaders and its gods, all serve but to preserve the sense of threat. For no one walks the world in armature, but must have terror striking at his heart.
Yes.
And I have no idea what armature means. Do you?
Armature, armor, the belief that they have to defend themselves. So they put up a persona like they are mean or tougher. That's the image I get. Someone going, puffing out their chest.
Framework. That's what I'm getting. There's like 5 definitions in Merriam-Webster's
what
dictionary.
I keep getting is like the way someone, their persona that they put out there.
So,
that's the frame that they are putting
it can
themselves
be an
in as
organ or a
being.
structure, a piece of a soft iron or steel that connects the poles of a magnet or of adjacent magnets, a usually rotating part of an electric machine, such as a generator motor. It goes on, but I'm going to skip to the next one. The movable part of an electromagnetic device, such as a loudspeaker. A framework used by a sculptor to support a figure being modeled in a plastic material. And then E just says framework 1A, events that serve as the armature of the book. What? Framework.
Like I said, the persona.
Right, yes.
It's like, but that's not what all the... It's telling me this is the persona.
So the last sentence again was, no one walks the world in armature, but must have terror striking at his heart.
So
those who have a big framework, a pretending, a persona,
ego,
must have terror striking at their hearts.
Because they are not being who they truly are. They are putting out there a false facade, a false front.
Right.
And it's that false front that they are trying to make the world believe that there's something they're not, that they are the guru. How many of those do we keep running into? That is what it's speaking of. So, it's telling you how when you defend yourself, you believe you're being attacked in those moments. When someone says something to you and you immediately start defending yourself, justifying your stance, your reason for thinking and believing, that is when you are literally defending yourself. You're believing in those moments you are being attacked by another. And your ego thought system that you've been taught has taught you to learn how to, or has taught you how to attack yourself, as well as attacking your brothers out there. That as you look at your brothers and you see these different things and you judge them, you recognize that within yourself, these are things that you can't do yourself, are afraid to do yourself, or want to do yourself. And so you judge. And I can think of so many of these teachers out there, but I'm trying to skip away from the ACIM community and be, dropping names and things like that.
I've been thinking about that, the whole thing with me dropping names, and I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, it is pointing out the truth of what they do. It's not slanderous in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I'm being told, keep it to just the first names. Or initials.
I think that's why that one person reported my post in the group.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said their names.
Yeah. You had an interaction and you were writing it down.
Yeah.
Sharing your experience. Nothing wrong with that.
And it's not like those people can see what I'm writing anyways.
Sure they can. They're in the groups.
No. Not if I'm blocked.
Actually, I believe even if you're blocked at times, depending on how the group's set up, that
Only if they are set up as a moderator, I think.
yeah.
Here you go. The money's all yours again.
Woohoo.
Might be good for lottery tickets and strip clubs. Be warned, that's all that's in there. Singles.
Strip clubs, singles, huh? We see where his mind went. I don't know why that would be.
Well, we're at an hour and 24 minutes. Shall I continue?
Yeah, so... And it's funny because you were reading all the crap that they have there for definitions. And in the second paragraph there, and the sentences above, that one about the armature, it states, and all its structures and its thoughts and doubts, its penalties and heavy armaments, its legal definitions and its codes, its ethics and its leaders and its gods all serve but to preserve its sense of threat. All those things, I keep talking about how you have been trained from birth to hand away your free will, your choices to choose for yourself to another. How you have blindly followed and believed and accepted the dictates, the beliefs, and the controlling, manipulating judgments of those around you all of your life. And that even now in these moments, in these days, that you still do so and find yourself trying not to do so. These are all the things it's talking about there. How we are taught to blindly accept all the prohibitions being handed to us that are placed out there by our governments and society and our peers and our families and our bosses and our coworkers. All of us being subject to everybody else's dictates of what we can and cannot do, can and cannot say, can and cannot think, be, believe. All these things. We are blindly doing these things continuously, day in, day out. This is what it speaks of. Please continue.
Defense is frightening. It stems from fear, increasing fear as each defense is made. You think it offers safety, yet it speaks of fear made real and terror justified. Is it not strange you do not pause to ask as you elaborate your plans and make your armor thicker and your locks more tight, what you defend and how and against what?
Think about that, folks. Defense is frightening. It stems from fear, increasing fear as each defense is made. Think about that. Every time you are defending yourself, you are seeking for ways to hold your ground, to defend, because you fear being found out that whatever it is that you are choosing to believe in might not be true. That is the hidden fear in the background, is that whatever you've chosen to think and believe in might not be true. And there's that fear that, oh shit, I made a mistake. I made a wrong choice, a wrong decision. Because anytime we did something wrong as a child, when we were told we were wrong, what came with it?
Punishment.
Of?
Punishment of what we did wrong.
Yeah, but what kind of punishments? That reinforced that we did not want that kind of...
Physical, mental, and emotional.
Thank you. All tools of...
Manipulation.
Thank you. My husband is actually learning and listening. He says he doesn't. He says he ignores me, but he's actually listening. See, the truth wills out, folks. You can lie to yourself for so long, but the truth does come out. That you are taking these things in. You are hearing them. You are learning them. Even when it seems, when you're in the thick of it, that you are not.
Or sleeping.
Or think you're sleeping. All right, please continue.
Let us consider first what you defend. It must be something that is very weak and easily assaulted. It must be something made easy prey, unable to protect itself and needing your defense. But what but the body has such frailty that constant care and watchful step, deep concern are needful to protect its little life? What but the body falters and must fail to serve the Son of God as worthy host? Yet it is not the body that can fear, nor be a thing of fear. It has no needs but those which you assign to it. It needs no complicated structures of defense, no health-inducing medicine, no care and no concern at all. Defend its life, or give it gifts to make it beautiful, or walls to make it safe, and you but say your home is open to the thief of time, corruptible and crumbling, so unsafe it must be guarded with your very life.
Wow. Yeah, that's what we've been taught to think and believe about our bodies, that we need to protect them from all forms of harm, that we need not only protect our bodies, but our children's bodies, our animals, that we begin to believe we are our bodies, that they are their bodies, and they're not. But that's what we're taught to believe, to think. And wow, I just felt like when I was rubbing my ear just now, I was like a wah, 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 like a tuner dial trying to tune something in.
It's Eric working on technical difficulties.
No shit, huh? I like it when they work on those technical difficulties because it makes it so that my head doesn't hurt and my ears and eyes are functioning to where they're not bugging me, not crossing, tingling, tickling. Um, everything that we've been taught to think and believe to be true about ourselves and our bodies, all the labels handed to us, we've been taught to defend. That we're a wife, a mother, a daughter, things like that. That for a woman, if her hymen is missing, she's tainted goods. She's an unworthy wife, things like that. And that we need to be fearful for our life against everyone. To defend ourselves constantly, to be in fear that the next person we come in contact with is going to rob us, rape us, strangle us, and leave us for they're dead. That was some of the things that I basically came to believe. That around every corner, every man was going to beat me, rob me, rape me, kill me. Now think about how terrifying that thought is. That every single man you come across, you see out there in the world, you look at them as a potential as your potential murderer. For many years, that's how I looked at men. It took me a very long time to understand that that wasn't true. That there were good men out there. That not every man was going to be verbally, mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive. When I stopped looking for and seeking out the things that I had been taught, when I began to choose differently because I was tired of the pain, that's when I chose a friend instead of a sexual partner, a husband. I didn't seek any of those things. I was done. I was tired of looking at every man out there as being someone that was going to kill me. I just wanted someone to be my friend. And it was that kind of stuff that had me crumbling in fear continuously. Being afraid of everyone and everything. It's like the first, it's empty, couple of years in our relationship, they were rocky. I had fears of everyone and everything because of the types of things I had gone through. And as it says here, it's all true. You want to guard everything with your very life. Because everything feels like it's being taken away from you in any given moment. Please continue.
Is not this picture fearful? Can you be at peace with such a concept of your home? Yet what endowed the body with the right to serve you, thus accept your own belief? That sentence didn't make any sense to me. Yet what endowed the body with the right to serve you, thus
serve you thus, accept your own belief.
Ah, thank you. It is your mind which gave the body all the functions that you see in it, and set its value far beyond a little pile of dust and water. Who would make defense of something that he recognized as this? The body is in need of no defense. This cannot be too often emphasized. It will be strong and healthy if the mind does not abuse it by assigning it to roles it cannot fill, to purposes beyond its scope, and to exalted aims which it cannot accomplish. Such attempts, ridiculous yet deeply cherished, are the sources for the many mad attacks you make upon it. For it seems to fail your hopes, your needs, your values, and your dreams.
Yes. So that mental picture you have taken on about yourself, about your body, about your life, it's fearful because it is a picture that crumbles and falls apart. It is a belief system that is never stable. Some part and portion of it is always crumbling. And your body, you have this belief that you are your body, and it's recognizing you're not. That it's simply a tool, a car, a vehicle that you are using in the moment to experience the things you're experiencing. It's kind of like I'm seeing not so much as just a regular scuba diver, but someone that's in one of those little capsule things to where they're able to go and interact with the fishies and everything, yet are still protected in a little bubble. I want to say it's like a submarine or something. I keep seeing like how we are interacting. We keep this bubble around us that keeps everyone at arm's length. And there are very few that we are letting in because we have this belief that to let anyone within our space is to let in death, to let in that pain and suffering. And we are taught to completely ignore anyone and anything that tries to pull us from listening to and believing those outside of us. This is why our ego minds come at us the way they do, telling us that we must be going insane, we must be crazy, wrong, bad, so many different things. And man, they're going all over the place, but they're pointing out all these different things that I've experienced, folks. They're pointing out the cancers I've had, the hospitalization I had when I wrecked a motorcycle, and how I had believed all those things had happened to me, and how all those diseases came in, and when I chose to look at those beliefs that I was holding on to, how the diseases fell away as if they never were. Just like that carpet rolling up. They just kind of no longer there. All this stuff is interconnected. These are the ways that they have shown me that this stuff is true, have broken it down for me in real life experiences to see how it's worked in my life. And it's this kind of stuff that they are wanting you to pick up on, to understand that your own experiences will delineate what it is you are to look at. What you have been thinking and believing to be true, how you have been choosing to perceive yourself, the world, and your brothers within it. Please continue.
The self that needs protection is not real. The body, valueless and hardly worth the least defense, need merely be perceived as quite apart from you, and it becomes a healthy, serviceable instrument through which the mind can operate until its usefulness is over. Who would want to keep it when its usefulness is done? Defend the body, and you have attacked your mind, for you have seen in it the faults, the weaknesses, the limits, and the lacks from which you think the body must be saved. You will not see the mind as separate from bodily conditions, and you will impose upon the body all the pain that comes from the conception of the mind as limited and fragile, and apart from other minds and separate from its source. Now there's something that's coming up here for me on this that I wanted to share, I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that has been bothering me for some time, that I've seen in the ACIM community and just kind of an attitude in general towards relationships between children and adults. And the judgment of inappropriate, when it's appropriate and when it's inappropriate. And the, shall I say, fervent retribution that would be laid out upon most of the, quote, perpetrators by the parents, fathers, family,
General populace.
And it's just been kind of just bothering me that ACIM makes such a clear, distinguished point that the body is not to be defended. And yet it seems that we're still carrying around from day to day this belief that to harm another in a physical or sexual way is intolerable and unacceptable in any way, any shape, or any form. Do you see what I'm saying here? Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. It's like when I was a child and I was being molested at first by the neighbor and then raped by him. The molestations were fun and games. And I recognized that I liked the way that it felt, how he touched me. And I didn't know that there was something wrong with that. I never thought of it as being wrong. I just thought it was interesting how that kind of touch made me feel. That it felt good and pleasurable. And then when the rape happened, it was a punishment. And then the subsequent threats that he made after it of not telling anyone gave the imprint of fear, terror, and an understanding that something was wrong. And it wasn't until I was confronted with my family, my parents sitting there asking me questions after all these things had happened, and me hearing the judgments of the people in the hallway, and remembering his threats to kill me and my family. All these things played into my mind in those moments. The fear, the terror, and a feeling that I must be doing something wrong. I must have done something wrong. All these people are upset with me because everyone was angry, in rages. In being a child, as I've shared with you all already, I'm an empath. I'm empathic. I experience other people's emotions, their physical, emotional responses, I experience them. Their physical body responses, I experience them. Mental, emotional, I experience them. These are the things that I was taking in as that child. And that's what this is talking about, is these things that we take in blindly. That we take them in believing that we're the ones that are causing it all. And we try to heal and find ways to block it out. And all it's doing is causing us more pain and suffering. And like I've shared with you, it wasn't until I was looking at those things that I experienced in my choices to believe in them, in those judgments of them, that my body started to heal of those cancers and other diseases. I stopped trying to defend my body, defend myself against all the things that I perceived had been happening and had happened to me. It's like we go through this thing where we believe that everyone is hurting us, that the world is against us. Please continue.
These are the thoughts in need of healing, and the body will respond with health when they have been corrected and replaced with truth. This is the body's only real defense. Yet is this where you look for its defense? You offer it protection of a kind from which it gains no benefit at all, but merely adds to your distress of mind. You do not heal, but merely take away the hope of healing, for you fail to see where hope must lie if it be meaningful.
Yeah. What that's speaking of there, folks, is exactly what I was just speaking of myself, okay? About how it's these things that you need to look at. If you really want to heal, you have to look at them. Because these are the things that you have been taught to defend. These beliefs, these judgments, that these things, these labels are what define you. And these labels are what adds more distress and pain and suffering and worry to you. Please continue.
A healed mind does not plan. It carries out the plans that it receives through listening to wisdom that is not its own. It waits until it has been taught what should be done and then proceeds to do it. But I have to stop here, and I feel that I've been looking at this line, this thought from the Course. And, in regards to this whole thing with the house situation, we still haven't received an eviction notice. And so I have not been guided to set forth any plans until I'm given them, until I'm motivated to do something. And until we receive the eviction notice, I am not motivated to make any action forward.
I understand that. And in that regard, you've already agreed to take a step back and stop trying to lead.
True.
To instead follow.
Exactly.
And in that respect, I have accepted the lead. And I am getting guidance in what to do.
Okay.
Now, that means you must hold up your decision and choice to accept where I am leading. Which, remember, we were talking about earlier about the whole GoFundMe things and doing 501c3s.
This is a dialogue for another time.
But those kinds of things. That those can be other avenues we can go. So, in some ways, what it's talking about is waiting for that answer. Even though you stopped in the middle of the paragraph. Thank you, though. Because that's what came to my mind right there. Was how we haven't been planning. I haven't been planning anything. I've been waiting and listening, hearing the things that they want me to do. Like creating a Healing with Sharing Center. And to take this stuff onto the road. To try and find maybe an RV. And take all of this out on the road and connect with you all. And it is by sitting back and listening for the guidance and the direction. And, when it first comes, I'm going, oh, really? How the hell am I supposed to do that? That shit takes money. And then, I hear another portion at a later date. As that first portion ruminates around, well, what could I do? How could I do it? It's allowing and listening to that wisdom and letting it come in on its own. Not trying to drag things into being. Please continue.
A healed mind does not plan. Did I read that?
You only read the first two sentences.
I see. So I'll just start over on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
A healed mind does not plan. It carries out the plans that it receives through listening to wisdom that is not its own. It waits until it has been taught what should be done and then proceeds to do it. It does not depend upon itself for anything except its adequacy to fulfill the plans assigned to it. It is secure in certainty that obstacles cannot impede its progress to accomplishment of any goal that serves the greater plan established for the good of everyone. A healed mind is relieved of the belief that it must plan. Although it cannot know the outcome which is best, the means by which it is achieved, nor how to recognize the problem that the plan is made to solve. It must misuse the body in its plans until it recognizes this is so. But when it has accepted this is true, then is it healed and lets the body go.
Exactly. And what it's speaking of there, folks, is that you can be in the world yet not of it. You can be in your body yet not of it. As I have been healed, I have let go all belief that I am my body, all fear that I will be harmed, even walking down the street. All fear has been gone from me. And it's that acceptance of who I truly am, what my true nature is, that allows me to let go all belief and all fear about anything happening to me, even getting diseases and dying from them. I recognize that simply is not possible. Please continue.
Enslavement of the body to the plans the unhealed mind sets up to save itself must make the body sick. It is not free to be the means of helping in a plan which far exceeds its own protection, and which needs its service for a little while. In this capacity is health assured, for everything the mind employs for this will function flawlessly and with the strength that has been given it and cannot fail. It is perhaps not easy to perceive that self-initiated plans are but defenses, with the purpose all of them were made to realize. They are the means by which a frightened mind would undertake its own protection at the cost of truth. This is not difficult to realize in some forms which these self-deceptions take, where the denial of reality is very obvious. Yet planning is not often recognized as a defense.
Exactly. Think about it, folks. Every time you are going through something, you start making plans. Well, I need to do this and I need to do that. I need to go here. I need to go there. All these different things come playing through your mind, racing chaotically. Fear, anxiety, all these things start coming in. All these nagging, worrying details start coming in. And you are constantly spinning your wheels in your own mind about possibilities of all the different things you can possibly do. As it's stated, it is not easy to recognize in the moment that you are doing these things. Sometimes it's finding some little thing that can pull you out of it, even for just an instant, to give you that sense of clarity. To be able to see it just slightly differently. To change how you're perceiving whatever's going on. To make it so it's no longer what you thought it was. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. I had a thought.
Hmm.
We just stopped at 14.
Are you wanting to make a part 2 to this video?
No, not necessarily, because we're not really that far from the end. But I was thinking, speed it along. Alternate paragraphs. Read them quicker.
You mean read 2 paragraphs at a time?
No, I mean, I read a paragraph, you read a paragraph, make it go quicker.
Whatever it takes, because we're at 2 hours now. This is our longest video yet, ever.
Okay. So let me go ahead and continue on then with the next paragraph. 15. The mind engaged in planning for itself is occupied in setting up control of future happenings. It does not think that it will be provided for unless it makes its own provisions. Time becomes a future emphasis to be controlled by learning and experience obtained from past events and previous beliefs. It overlooks the present, for it rests on the idea the past has taught enough to let the mind direct its future course. And what that's speaking of, folks, is how we are picking and choosing whatever anything and everything is for. It's like this thing with this termination of tenancy that we've received. It's like we are looking at what's out there, understanding that we will have to move. And we are looking at what's available. And yet everywhere we look, everything we look at, we are being blocked. We know we don't have enough money. And we are making it as fast as we can. Yet every avenue we look toward, it's like it doesn't feel right. And as we spoke about it, we feel like we're being pushed out of the state. And this is coming really strongly into mind right now in regards to this. How our minds, our ego minds, want us to stay occupied with spinning our wheels. Going here, going there, doing this, doing that. And now that I got an understanding of where they want me to go, what they want me to do, and how they want me to do it. And I know what it is I'd like to do, and we've already stated what we'd like to do. Honestly, brothers, if somebody out there has an RV that doesn't have leaks, is running well, that, is willing to take, something not major for it.
Less than 20 years old.
Please, honestly, I think the most we could scrape together would be maybe $2,000, $3,000 right now. Maybe. I don't know.
One of the things that keeps nagging at me is the statement that you made in the beginning of that, where you said, we know we have to move.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that to be true. I don't know anything.
I do.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you know something. I'll just keep following you then, I guess.
For a long time you've been in the lead. Now it's my turn.
Yeah, it's all yours. Reins are yours.
Thank you. It's about damn time I stepped
But
up
bedtime
to the
is mine pretty soon. I'm going to fall asleep here in a minute.
I know. It's time for you to take over anyways. It says 16.
I don't have numbers. See the screen?
The mind that plans.
The mind that plans is thus refusing to allow for change. What it has learned before becomes the basis for its future goals. Its past experience directs its choice of what will happen, and it does not see that here and now is everything it needs to guarantee a future quite unlike the past, without a continuity of any old ideas and sick beliefs. Anticipation plays no part at all, for present confidence directs the way.
Yeah, and I seem to constantly be annoying you with my confidence in what it is I'm hearing and being directed to do.
I don't know about that. I don't know about being annoyed by it or constantly.
Were you just annoyed a moment ago?
Am I? Am I annoyed that you think you know something and I don't think I know anything?
No, I did not say I think I know something
Yeah,
that
you
you
did.
don't know.
No, you said you think you know that we are going to have to move.
No.
You know that we're going to have to
Yes.
move. Excuse me.
Yes, I
And
do know that we have to.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I think it's an assumption to say so.
It's not.
Okay. Alrighty then.
I'm not clinging to a past that no longer exists for me. That's what it comes down to. So continuing on. Defenses are the plans you undertake to make against the truth. Their aim is to select what you approve and disregard what you consider incompatible with your beliefs of your reality. Yet what remains is meaningless indeed, for it is your reality that is the threat which your defenses would attack, obscure, and take apart and crucify. Do you get that?
Did you?
Yes.
Good.
So understand that it's your judgments that makes you think you have to defend yourself and defend all the choices and decisions that you're making to believe as you are. And it is that your ego will have you believe is the threat. That anyone or anything that is not in a concordance with what you are thinking and believing to be true. You will vilify anyone who points out a truth to you. You will crucify and demonize and take them apart and try to obscure and wipe them off the face of the earth any way you can when a truth is pointed out to you. Just like our brothers have been doing the last couple of days. Unfriending, blocking, calling me a fucking bitch and that they want to come beat my ass. Things of that nature. All of these things are keys to how the enlightened ego mind works. How it wants you to believe that you need to defend yourself constantly. Or someone's going to come and attack you. And as I told my brother, you can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Nothing you say or do will affect me in any way. And that just seemed to make them angrier. They could not get a rise out of me no matter what they said. Please continue.
What could you not accept if you but knew that everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? Perhaps you have misunderstood his plan, for he would never offer pain to you. But your defenses did not let you see his loving blessing shine in every step you ever took. While you made plans for death, he led you gently to eternal life.
Yes. You know, folks, it's all coming back full circle, back to some of the stuff in the beginning that you were learning. And it's understanding that in everything, all that you are experiencing and going through has been put together, orchestrated specifically for you. It had to happen exactly the way it did to get you to understand something, to get you to notice something, to get you to recognize something. These things, it's like I keep sharing with you in regards to all the things I've gone through in the past. All of them pinpoint a lesson needing to be learned, someplace where I turned my head from who I truly am. A moment I accepted something that was not true. This is what it speaks of. All right, continuing on. Your present trust in Him is the defense that promises a future undisturbed, without a trace of sorrow, and with joy that constantly increases as this life becomes a holy instant, set in time but heeding only immortality. Let no defenses but your present trust direct the future, and this life becomes a meaningful encounter with the with the truth that only your defenses would conceal. Without defenses, you become a light which heaven gratefully acknowledges to be its own, and it will lead you on in ways appointed for your happiness according to the ancient plan begun when time was born. Your followers will join their light with yours, and it will be increased until the world is lighted up with joy. And gladly will our brothers lay aside their cumbersome defenses, which availed them nothing and could only terrify. And this is what I was speaking of before, folks, what my guide was speaking of before, of how we come together with like minds. So as we accept our light of truth, as we accept the truth of who we are and stand in our light of truth, and no longer accept the judgments and opinions of those around us and let go all that crap and bullshit we were taught, our brothers begin to see the truth within themselves, and their light joins our own. They come and join our mind in those moments, becoming like-minded. This is what it's speaking of. And it's in those moments when everyone begins to lay aside everything and we start extending that understanding out, that it just tidal waves throughout humanity and the world. Please continue.
We will anticipate that time today with present confidence, for this is part of what was planned for us. We will be sure that everything we need is given us for our accomplishment of this today. We make no plans for how it will be done, but realize that our defenselessness is all that is required for the truth to dawn upon our minds with certainty. For 15 minutes twice today, we rest from senseless planning and from every thought that blocks the truth from entering our minds. Today we will receive instead of plan, that we may give instead of organize. And we are given truly as we say, if I defend myself, I am attacked, but in defenselessness I will be strong, and I will learn what my defenses hide.
Absolutely. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's basically repeating what I just stated. So let's continue on. Nothing but that. If there are plans to make, you will be told of them. They may not be the plans you thought were needed, nor indeed the answers to the problems which you thought confronted you. But they are answers to another kind of question which remains unanswered yet in need of answering until the answer comes to you at last. All your defenses have been aimed at not receiving what you will receive today. And in the light and joy of simple trust, you will but wonder why you ever thought that you must be defended from release. Heaven asks nothing. It is hell that makes extravagant demands for sacrifice. You give up nothing in these times today when undefended, you present yourself to your Creator as you really are. So, twice today, 15 minutes, we rest from senseless planning and go in with God. Look at these things that you've been judging and believing and defining yourself to be. Look at all those labels. And recognize how many times you're defending yourself as you're looking at them, defending what you believe that to be and why it's there. And recognizing that even though these things you've been taught to believe are not true, and they can be let go of, that you have to willingly sit in stillness and silence and wait for the answers. Wait for the truth. Wait for the guidance to be given to you. To question what you're thinking, believing, perceiving, and wait for the answers. Please continue.
He has remembered you. Today we will remember him, for this is Easter time in your salvation, and you rise again from what was seeming death and hopelessness. Now is the light of hope reborn in you, for now you come without defense to learn the part for you within the plan of God. What little plans or magical beliefs can still have value when you have received your function from the voice for God Himself? Try not to shape this day as you believe would benefit you most, for you cannot conceive of all the happiness that comes to you without your planning. Learn today, and all the world will take this giant stride and celebrate your Easter time with you. Throughout the day, as foolish little things appear to raise defensiveness in you and tempt you to engage in weaving plans, remind yourself this is a special day for learning and acknowledge it with this: this is my Easter time, and I would keep it holy. I will not defend myself, because the Son of God needs no defense against the truth of His reality.
Absolutely. And as I think of the phrase Easter time, I think of the rebirth of Christ, of Him coming out of the cave and not being there.
Like the resurrection.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word.
Right.
So that's what it brings to mind for me is the resurrection. So they're asking you to not think about, to not try to shape and plan everything that's going on around you. To simply be in the moment. Recognize that everything is in the here and now. to let go all those things that you've been taught to think and believe, and to see yourself as you truly are. It really can't get much more clear than this, folks. That you're the one that has chosen to believe something that's not true. And as the adult you are, you have a choice. And you can choose again. All right, folks. This was Workbook Lesson 135. If I defend myself, I am attacked. With the correlating chapter text of Chapter 13, The Guiltless World. Section 1, Guiltlessness and Invulnerability. Invulnerability. Man, those words. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Sabrina Reyenga.
And my name is Alex Reyenga.
Hugs, love, light, and blessings on your journey, my brothers. You are loved. We love you. Please be the light you are meant to be. Please be the light we know you to be. Please be the light we see you to be. Please choose to be the light. Join our light, brothers. Add your light to ours. Clear your mind, free yourself of the things you've been taught to think and believe. We are here. We are looking for a way to come to you, each and every one of you. Seeking for a way to have an income and a way and a mode of travel other than our car.
I was really hoping for
a motorhome.
A personal UFO given to us by aliens, but I'm not so sure that's going to happen.
No. I keep looking at one of those small Toyota RVs, something small, compact that I could drive and he could drive. But it's only the two of us and our animals. And honestly, we don't need that much space. But I'd like to be able to come and be with each and every one of you. To share in the experiences that we've each had. To share the understandings we've given and the lessons we've learned. All right, have a blessed day and a glorious journey. Hugs, love, light, and blessings to all of you. You're loved. We love you. Bye.